We're back for part 2 of my Litematica mini-series. In this video, we're taking our saved schematics and bringing it to life. From loading to pasting and everything related, let's get into it. Before we bring that saved schematic into your world, you first need to load and align that template into the place you want it built. First, in the Litematica menu, click Load Schematics. This will open up the folder of saved schematics, either ones you've saved yourself or downloaded online. Depending on how you launch Minecraft, this folder on your computer could be located in different places. If you use the default Minecraft launcher, it'll be located somewhere in your .minecraft folder. But if you use a launcher like me, it'll be found somewhere like this. If you're having trouble finding the schematics folder, create a schematic with a really specific name, and then search your computer for it. Then pin that folder because it can be annoying to find sometimes. This is where you'll drag your downloaded schematics, or if you want to retrieve your schematics, to share with others or upload online. You can use the search bar if you have lots saved like me, and then click the one you want to load in. On the right will be information on the schematic. If you properly named the schematic before saving it, it'll show up here, along with other information you might find useful, like block count or schematic size. At the bottom, there are some buttons. First is Create a Placement. If this is marked with an X, then when you click Load Schematic, it'll place the schematic where you're standing. If not, it'll load it into the memory, and you can create a placement at a later time. You can use Material List to check what blocks are needed to complete the build before you even place it in, if you want to check how much prep time you're actually going to need. Rename Schematic will change the name here, as well as when you load the schematic in. It'll be a lot easier to find if you have lots loaded in at once. And Rename File will change the file's name, so it'll change here, as well as in the folder on your computer. Litematica menu will just take you back to the main Litematica menu, and Loaded Schematics will take you to this window just like the one in the main menu. Loaded Schematics. If you didn't load the schematic before, here's where you create the placement. This places the schematic on top of you with either corner 1 of the schematic at your feet, or if you added in a manual origin like I showed you in the last video, that position will be at your feet instead. Editing the schematic. If you make any changes to the schematic, I'll show you how to do that in the possible final video of this series. Save to file will allow you to either overwrite your schematic or create a new one with these changes in mind. And if you made changes and want to undo them, reload will reset the schematic back to its original form. And finally, unload. This will unload the schematic from Litmatica's memory. So if you loaded the wrong one in, or you no longer want to load it, this will get rid of the ghost outlines and remove the schematic from the memory. Before we get into the bulk of the mod, let's take a look at how the schematic is visually loaded in. Now, when the schematic is loaded in, there are 5 ways to view the ghost blocks. All, single layer, layer range, all below, and all above. You can change the option by holding M and pressing page up or page down, or in the configuration menu here, which is also accessible by using the shortcut M and C. With single layer, all above, or all below, you can press page up or page down to affect the loaded layers. But something not everyone knows is in the configuration menu in the Render Layers tab, you have even more control over this tool. You can change the mode with this button here, or even access where the cutoff is. And if your level is far away from where you want it to be, you can type the coordinates in instead of spamming page up or page down for 5 minutes. Set here will just enter the coordinates you're currently at, depending on what axis is selected. Now, let's go through each mode. All is self-explanatory. The whole thing's loaded in. Single layer loads just one slice, and you can change it with page up or page down. And that changes either the X, Y, or Z level that is loaded, depending on what you selected here in the config area. All above or below, you also have a level that can be changed, and that layer, along with all the blocks either above or below that coordinate, will also be loaded in. Layer range will let you choose the top and bottom layers, and it'll load everything in between those 2 layers. Set here will move both layers to your current position. For these hotkey buttons, select one when you want to press page up or page down, and it'll affect that layer. And if both are selected, it'll shift the layers together. Schematic Placements. Now, if you didn't create a placement for the loaded schematic earlier, it won't show up in the Placements menu, because it's only loaded in the mod's memory. In this menu, all the schematics that you've loaded into your world will be located here. And there are a lot of things you can do in here. First, you can toggle the schematics on or off, because if you have too many schematics on at once, your world can get really crowded and start to lag a bunch. And obviously, remove removes the placement, but it will still be located in the Loaded Schematics menu if you want to place it back in. Now to configure your schematic. First is the naming of your schematic. If you didn't do it properly earlier, you can change it here to make it easier to find in the previous menu. There are multiple ways to hide the placement. All of these will hide it. And the All button works when you have multiple subregions in your schematic. Locked is handy if you accidentally misclick sometimes and move your schematic. This will stop any changes to the schematic movement, and this little box will hide the lines around the schematic. And if you didn't ignore entities when creating the schematic, this button will stop them from showing up in the schematic you place. Now, if you created a manual origin when making the schematic, these will be the coordinates that coincide with that place. Otherwise, it'll be corner 1 of the schematic. You can also lock each coordinate individually to prevent accidental movement. Move to player will move these coordinates or origin towards your player's feet. Rotation rotates the schematic, and mirror will flip it either left to right or front to back. Now, if you have subregions in your schematic, by clicking the individual configure, you can move them without affecting the others. And if you want the subregions to go back to the original, just use the reset button. All of these buttons do the same thing as in the previous window, just on the individual subregion. Now, here's one of the best features in my opinion, Material List. This opens an entire menu which purpose is to help you prepare for making this schematic in survival mode. This will show you all the blocks in the schematic as well as the progress as you build it. This button determines if all blocks in the schematic are listed here, or just the ones visible in the rendered layers. If you have the blocks in your inventory, hide available will remove those blocks from the list, if you have enough. And Info HUD will show you this list on the screen outside the menu, while you're building. If you plan to build this schematic multiple times, the multiplier will multiply the amount of blocks needed to build it that number of times. You can also type to search for specific blocks in the list. If you click ignore on that block, it'll be removed from the list, and clear ignored will put it right back on the list. Clear cache is more of a technical thing for troubleshooting schematics. Sometimes blocks that you can't place, like a piston head, not the full thing, show up in the list. This should remove that from the list. Write to file and raw materials will create readable documents, like in Notepad, for this list. Hover over to get specifics, but this is really good if you want to put it onto another screen while you play the game, or to share with others. And all progress will be tracked at the bottom here. You can also sort the blocks by their name, total block count, number of missing blocks, or the available blocks in your inventory. Now, Schematic Verifier will help you when you're done placing everything, because it'll let you know if you made any mistakes while building, like placing the wrong block, or ones that you didn't place at all, as well as the coordinates the mistake is located at. Just press Start Verification, and it'll tell you everything that is wrong with your build, and what needs to be fixed, for it to match your schematic. Stop can be used if the build is massive, otherwise it completes instantly, and Reset will just remove this list. Range will show you the blocks of either the whole schematic, or just the rendered layers you have loaded in. If you click Ignore on a block, Reset Ignored will put it back on the list. And this bottom row just filters for what the button reads as. Now, for Info HUD up here, when you turn it on, nothing happens until you start selecting blocks that you want to check on. So as you can see here, this red wool, where it's meant to be a grass block, if I select this, and then come out of the menu here, the bottom right will tell me the exact coordinates as well as highlight the place that it's wrong. And it'll tell me where it needs to be fixed, and when I do fix it, it'll correct and remove it from the bottom right. And down here at the very bottom left, you'll be able to see the total of wrong blocks, blocks that are in the wrong state, blocks that are missing altogether, any extra blocks that aren't meant to be there, like the ones that are meant to be air, and then the correct and the total amount of blocks in the whole thing. You want these two to match up in the end, as well as the button that takes you back to the Litematica menu. For the tools using the Litematica tool, the stick, for loading and placing schematics, tools 2 of 9 and 5 of 9 will be needed. 2 of 9 is Schematic Placement. This will just place the origin of the schematic wherever you click. Regions Modified here lets you know if you've made any alterations to the schematic. 5 of 9, Paste into the World, uses a hotkey to paste the schematic wherever it currently is. This only works in creative mode though. If you want me to go over anything not included in this or the previous video, leave it down in the comments, because I could possibly make a video that is an hour long on just the configuration menu, and that sounds kind of boring. So let me know what features you want to learn about the mod Litematica.